Good morning, everyone. Welcome to ChatGPT Masterclass Meetup session. So on behalf of Philippine Technology Meetup, I would like to welcome everyone to this Meetup page. And we are planning to bring more sessions like that in coming months, all related to AI. And we are also planning to collaborate with other well-known startup companies and other organizations to bring you latest up-to-date technologies on AI in this Meetup channel. So this session is focused on cases in ChatGPT and how we can use its different capabilities in our day-to-day work, right? So I think by now everyone is having ChatGPT account. So we look at how we can best leverage ChatGPT technology in this session. Make sure everyone is having a ChatGPT account with OpenAI. I will share the URL later. So this tool is really powerful where we can use for a lot of use cases. So we are looking at several tips and tricks that you can use during this session, practical things, and we'll be sharing the meetup recording as well, so everyone get to access. And those are not able to join today, also able to access the recording as well. And we are planning to bring more sessions like that in our meetup channel, both online and physical format as well. So on behalf of Blue Chip Training and Consulting, I would like to welcome everyone for this virtual meetup session. So this session is focused on ChatGPT and how to best to use its capabilities on your day-to-day activities, right? So let's get started on ChatGPT. So by now, you know what is ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a powerful AI chatbot that we can ask specific questions and we can get answers. So before ChatGPT, also there are a lot of AI bots that we can see, like for example, banking applications where we have a certain chatbots where customer care can work as a customer care representative. But nowadays, ChatGPT getting into a different area in AI, which is called as generative AI. So generative AI is a term that used to create new content out of AI, not the existing ones. So there are a lot of use cases I will explain later in the today's meetup. So ChatGPT is one of a tool that we can use to leverage these features to get effectively our solution. And main differentiation is like we cannot have a conversation with a ChatGPT. If you look at traditional chatbot, we can have the conversation like, hello, how are you? Then it's going to ask a question like a banking, could be banking customer care representative or different chatbot. But here, it's not a conversation. So it's not going to ask, how are you doing today? Or what, how can I help you? It's not going to ask that. It's just a Q&A. Like we can ask a specific question and we can get the answer. And now the benefit of ChatGPT is it can leverage a lot of new creative things, like especially the writing skills. So let's say you are a project manager. You have to write on a project proposal or some kind of requirement document. So traditionally, it would take months based on the complexity. Let's say you are working on a $1 million project contract, project proposal. Then traditionally, it will take at least a month to research, find out, and also finalize the document. But with ChatGPT, we can separate these tasks and create a much more effective kind of a work within couple of days. So based, if you are really experienced in ChatGPT, within a day or two also is possible. Because there's again a certain skill set you need when you want to ask a question from ChatGPT. Especially for writing related things, ChatGPT is really good. Writing a marketing proposal, business proposal, even writing an article, social media, if you are digital marketing, working on a digital marketing related things, and also researching. If you want to find a certain item, so different calculations, things like that. So let's look at step by step. What are these possible things and what kind of things we can leverage? Traditionally, in Google, these things are not possible. If you because traditionally, if you want to do research, we go to Google and then we search in the Google search engine. But with ChatGPT, you'll get a different perspective of things. especially when you are working on a new thing, like writing a specific document or working on a certain content where it's required day-to-day life. Doesn't matter which sector. It could be IT, it could be manufacturing, right? Banking, finance, any sector you have to work with certain documents. You have to create certain proposals, certain specification documents, certain PowerPoints, work on these different kind of a documentation, even replying to an email. So sometimes, when you are in a different positions, you get a lot of emails. So sometimes you might not get time to do on your original work where you have to reply for a lot of long emails you have to write based on the different scenarios. So then your entire day is going to write replies on emails while you cannot focus on other work. But ChatGPT can specialize on these different things like writing a specific email. You can ask, then writing a follow-up email, then writing a specific document. Only thing is you need to be specified what you want, because if you don't ask the question correctly, ChatGPT cannot provide that. It's like you're asking a friend. So if you want something from your friend, you need to ask specifically from your colleague. I need this specific document. I need this project proposal, and I need this format. So you need to specify to your friend, right? So similarly, in ChatGPT also you need to specify. If you are not specifying the requirement you need, what kind of specific document you need, you don't get that, because ChatGPT cannot read our minds. It just can understand what we provide, and it can provide the answer for that. So for that, it's called prompt engineering. You can search the keyword prompt engineering. It's a kind of a skill set you need to have. I will share a couple of these specified ways. Using prompt engineering, you can leverage the best kind of answers from ChatGPT. Because if you didn't ask the right question, you don't get the right answer, right? Sometimes you think ChatGPT doesn't give that answer. It's not like that. You need to specify on the question the way you ask, right? It's like you're asking a friend. If you didn't give all the things, all the parameters to your friend, all the things you need to your colleague, they cannot give the result, right? So that's why same thing apply for ChatGPT. It's called prompt engineering, and now it's used in other ChatGPT like tools like Google Bard and other tools as well. But started with ChatGPT last year. We cannot communicate or have a conversation with ChatGPT. What we can do is we can ask specified question and it will give the answer. And we'll categorize into different sectors as well. So since you are coming from multiple different sectors, could be IT, it could be AI related fields, or it could be agriculture, manufacturing, finance, banking. This apply for all the sectors. It's not limited to a specific sector. So let's start with the first one. First use case for the day. So first use case, we are starting with ChatGPT as a Linux terminal. So this is mostly used for IT administrators. So IT administrators need to remember a lot of commands day to day, right? So based on the different scenarios, they have to remember a specified command, and based on the different conditions, they have to come up with the specific command. Sometimes even they Google it, they don't get the specific command. So that's where ChatGPT comes in place. For this is specified for the IT administrators. So here you can ask like this. Here you can see, you can ask like this from ChatGPT. I want to act Linux terminal. I will type the command and you will reply the terminal show. So likewise, you can explain the scenario in plain English. Not any programming or syntax involved. It's plain English, but you need to explain. Once you explain your scenario, you will get the answer, right? So there are a couple of things you can do. One is you can directly ask what is the command for this problem, or you can explain the scenario. So that's what differentiate ChatGPT. Because if you ask the command, you will get that in Google as well, right? If you ask what is the command for this thing, like resetting a computer, what is the Linux command? If you search in Google, you will find that and you'll go to a website and you'll get the command. But what ChatGPT differentiate is you can explain a scenario and it will give the answer for that scenario. That is unique. for the work, right? Because in your work, you will get a different set of problems every day based on your different skill set, right? So kindly mute your mic, right? So based on the different skill set, you'll get a different type of problem. So that's why you need to specify what's the specific scenario, and you will get the answer. So this one is specifically for Linux terminal or the IT administrator, but this applies for other kind of scenarios as well, right? Other kind of scenarios as well, this apply. So that is what differentiate, because in Google, you cannot do that. Because Google, you can search and there need to be a website to get the content. But here you can see specifically related to that person's day-to-day work, right? So that you cannot find in Google. Only some level you can find, but not into all the levels. Especially when it comes to documentation related things, you cannot directly copy something that is available in the internet when you are doing a original work. But here it's used generative AI. That means the content is generated on the go, and it's unique for you, not for anyone else, right? So I will explain how it does internally as well. So that is what the advantage is, this ChatGPT like tools, because now we have other competitive tools as well, like Google Bard is doing the same thing. Yeah, we can compare both and see. We'll planning to do another session on comparison between the tools as well. But this session is purely focused on the ChatGPT only. Then this one is for programmers, any IT developers or software programmers in this meetup. That's really helps, because traditionally finding errors or finding bugs in your code becoming a lot of problem. And you need to again search through Google websites like Stack Overflow. You need to find, and if you go to Stack Overflow, you don't get the exact answer, you get someone else's problem. And you need to map that with your problem. But here it's not like that. You can directly ask like this. You can see here, code part, find the bug in the following code. And it's not only giving the answer, it also gives the explanation as well. That's a really best thing. Because ChatGPT works like in a real world, like your friend. Like let's say you are working as a programmer, and you have your programming friend or your colleague. You're asking your colleague, please help me with this issue. Can you look at the problem? Then like that, you can see he's going to solve the problem and also give an explanation why the error is happening. So likewise, you can see, you can ask ChatGPT like that. So this is never possible in Google, because in Google, something to appear, someone needs to create a website on that content. Otherwise, it's just pointing to a website. That's what Google does, right? It's just pointing to a certain website. It cannot solve any problem. But here you can see it's going to solve the problem. This might not directly available in Google, and we cannot directly ask a question like this in Google anyway at all, because any question problem is unique for that person, right? Developers, let's say they're working on different languages like Python, C Sharp, React, PHP. So ChatGPT support almost all the programming languages. That's another real advantage. You can ask any question from all the high level languages. It's not going to limit on any high level language. All the high level languages you can ask questions, and you can get the answers from these, any of the questions from that. And also you can ask to write the code, right? That's another advantage. It's not writing an entire solution per se. Like you cannot ask to write a mobile app or a web platform, like the entire solution, but it's just piece by piece. Let's say you have a certain business logic on the program, or you have certain functionality you have to implement. So that part you can specify and ask, and then piece by piece, you can connect everything together, right? That is how you can ask, right? Because anyway, imagine when you are writing a code also, you are not writing entire thing at once. It's break down to piece by piece, and then is going to use a certain functionalities, and like that. It's not going to write everything at once, right? So similarly, you need to specify a piece by piece, like a certain class or certain functionalities like that, and you can specify that and you can ask. So here again, this example, I'm showing like how to write a simple game, tic-tac-toe, how we can ask to write that from Python. And also another new thing in ChatGPT is called chain prompt. That means answer you get from ChatGPT question. So we ask a question, answer we get from ChatGPT can be a question for the next iteration, right? So let's say we ask a question, ChatGPT give an answer. So that answer we can use as a second question, right? That answer we can use as a second question. Then again, based on that, we can answer another question. So then ChatGPT provide another answer. Based on that answer, we can answer another question. So that's called chain prompt. That means same scenario we can go through, right? So in ChatGPT also website, you can see it's divided into multiple sections. So let's say we are working in a project proposal. So we are not going to ask entire proposal, write me the entire project proposal in a one line. So you need to break down. You need to break down, explain give me the headings and subtopics of the specific project proposal. Then can you elaborate more on the specified subtopics? Like that, you need to specify items, like we are doing in the real world, right? We are not writing everything at once, right? So there's a research part, then there's a formatting part, then only the content writing part. So likewise, every task we do, we have breakdown into subtask. So like that, you need to ask a GPT as well, not expecting everything at once, because even real person cannot do that. We need to break down the task into subtask to get whatever the answer. So ChatGPT is a tool that you ask the right question, you will get the best out of it. That is where the prompt engineering comes in, where you need to specify. Like you cannot ask write me a Uber like or Grab like mobile app. It's not going to do that. It's just you need to break down, because when you are developing, let's say a mobile app like that, you are not going to develop everything at once, right? You want to you are breaking down that problem into subtasks, especially in software project managers doing that. Then only developer is writing part of the code. So like that, we need to break down the problem into subtasks, and then you can ask the specified question from the chat GPT from. So then you will get the answer. Sometimes if you not ask like this, you don't get the expected answer and you think chat GPT is not a good tool that I can use. It's mostly because you are not asking the question the correct way, or you are not utilizing ChatGPT in the best possible way. That's the main problem that we have. It's like imagine like you're asking a colleague. So you can ask your friend, write me an entire project proposal, right? But you are without giving any parameter. What is about, what is the format, what need to research, what kind of requirement, without giving anything. You are just asking your friend, write me a project proposal. So they don't know anything then other than writing a project proposal. So like that, in the ChatGPT also, you need to specify what you need, a specific task. You need to break down, then you can get the best out of it. That's the best way to get out of it in ChatGPT. So here you can see, we can ask ChatGPT to write Python code, game called tic-tac-toe. As I mentioned, here this section we are looking at for IT programmers. So it supports almost all the programming language, but again, you need to break down the problem into whatever the piece of code that you are typing. Then you can ask specific question on that. Then ChatGPT going to write that code, and here we can use chain prompt. That means in this section, in this use case, we are asking ChatGPT to write the game, and the next prompt, we are asking ChatGPT to play the game with us. So we are playing the game that written by ChatGPT. So here you can see, we can ask to write into a file. So here you can see, write a complete Python program to play a terminal-based game tic-tac-toe, and write that to a file called t.py. So here you can see it's going to generate the Python code, right? You need to specify like this. Then it's going to generate this kind of a code, which is the Python code. Then after that, we can ask like this. This is the chain prompting, which is execute the following command and run the Python program. So we are asking to create a code for a game from ChatGPT, and then we are playing the game with ChatGPT as well. That is chain prompting. So here you can see python.py, then we can play the game with ChatGPT that is written by ChatGPT. So like that, that is called chain prompting. So that means you can have continuous breakdown of your task, right? So that is what my recommendation. So you need to break down your task. Let's say you are working on a project proposal. So you need to break down the task that you are actually doing in a real project proposal that you are working without ChatGPT. So once you break down the task, then you can ask specific question. So you can ask specific question based on the certain specific thing. So first the research part, then the formatting or the formats of the specified topics. Then you can ask specific questions on these areas as well. So that is how you can manage these ChatGPT related questions like this. Then you can play the game like this, enter the row, column values normally to the play the game. Then we look at another area. So in this one, we will see how we can leverage ChatGPT to explain things. So to explain things, that means we need to research. So let's say in different fields, when you are researching about different content, so how you can ask the specific questions from ChatGPT as well, right? So here, explain things. So here, another advantage is you can specify again. So the general specification traditionally comes with uh, the standard definition, but things get better when you ask specified question with certain parameters. So I will show this in this section. So here you can see explain the header format in IPv6. So you can ask, this is again IT networking related technical keyword. So here you can see you can ask a question for a certain keyword. So like that, ChatGPT support trillions of keyword points, right? Trillions of keyword points. We call this as knowledge points ChatGPT supports. So it's not only IT, any specified industry, agriculture, finance, right? Any industry, you can ask your technical keywords. So like trillions of these keyword points you can ask and you'll get the explanation like this. Then you can argue like, I can do this in Google as well, right? Traditionally, you can ask similar thing like this and you'll get some article in the Google with this. So then why are you need to use ChatGPT? So that's, I can show that in next slide. Why ChatGPT can advance than Google search. So here you can see how things get better. Explain like kind 5, right? Explain like kind 5. That means if you want to simplify your explanation, right? Because any industry that you are working on, your technical terms going to be sometimes you need to learn, right? You have a lot of technical words. Then if you search Google or like that, you get sometimes you get things, sometimes you don't get specific things. But here you can see you can specify here age. So 5 means you are explaining a thing for a kid. So you can see explain like I'm a 5. So like I asked to explain the wormhole like I'm 5. So 5 means 5-year-old. So imagine like you are explaining a certain thing for your children. Then let's say you are explaining something a little bit complex to your children. Then how you are going to do that? So you are going to make it simplified, right? Based on the age of the user, right? If it is a small children or if it is a teenager, so your explanation is different. So that is what ChatGPT is doing. Because ChatGPT is a large language model. We call it LLM. So that means like it have a language capability. So because like I'm explaining you the things, like I have the language capability as a person. So like that, ChatGPT also have this language capability. So it have the knowledge capability plus the language capability. So knowledge is the actual information for that keyword. Then the language capability is how you explain that into different variation. It could be for a kid, teenager, or a professional. So like any industry that you are in, you have technical terms that you might not understand. Then if you search that in Google, you will always get the more technical things. But you can see, you can simplify. And here, the previous slide I explained, you have trillions of keywords. You can ask. So any industry doesn't matter. You can ask most of the things. And now in the latest versions, it updated to internet as well. So it can grab new information or the new knowledge point from the internet as well. Then once you get the knowledge, it can use its language capability to explain the things in different formats. So here I explain like I'm a 5 means explain like you are small kid. So that is kind of a way that you can understand little bit complex things in a simpler format. So here you can see what are wormholes. So wormhole is a keyword. So likewise, ChatGPT support trillions of keywords. Could be different industries. Then explain like I'm a five. Five is another kind of example. It could be 6, this could be 7, this could be 10, this could be 20, this could be 30. That is the age in this particular prompt, right? So you can see how best to use this prompt, or how best to ask the question from ChatGPT. So if you just ask what are wormholes, you will get the just the explanation, like the standard description. But here, explain like kind 5 means you get the simplified kind of explanation, right? So that's the one of the advantage. You will get the very much simplified kind of explanation if you want. So you can see wormhole like tunnels that connect to different places space. Imagine that you are standing one end of the tunnel and you get to the other end. So likewise, if you search Google, you don't never get that. Why? Because someone need to create this content and put it into a website. In Google, you don't never get that. Only the standard definition you might get. That's the knowledge point. But ChatGPT have this language capability, knowledge plus language. So language is the way that you explain into different ways. Like I'm explaining these things to you. So ChatGPT have the similar capability and better than human uh, knowledge person as well, because it uses a lot of advanced deep learning and reinforcement learning techniques to create this AI model, large language model. So that's why where it comes with this high capability that traditionally person with high experience language, because they need to have a knowledge experience plus the language experience. So no one, we cannot find a person that knows everything and that can speaks everything, right? The ChatGPT can do that. And within couple of milliseconds, that's the advantage. Anything you ask, you'll get that in a couple of seconds, right? It doesn't wait more than that. So you can see, you can explain the things in a much more simplified way. That's one of the main advantage. And additionally, you can also ask to explain the things in a particular style. So here you can have a different accent way. Like, you know, even in English language, you have a lot of different way of pronunciation, speaking, different dialect. Just the English language also have hundreds of different ways to say certain things. So here you can ask that as well. So HTTPS is a IT technical keyword, but you can ask that to speak that from a cowboy from Old Western, like that. Just an example. But again, you can ask that in a different context, different language ways. Again, that's not possible in Google at all, because someone need to create a website with the exact same thing that you are going to ask to appear that in Google. Otherwise, it's not going to appear. But what ChatGPT does is not like that. It uses that same knowledge part, and based on its language capability, it's going to translate that into different language skill sets. That's what ChatGPT is differentiate from other Google search or other content from the internet. Then we can get ideas from AI art, decoration, party themes. Again, you can specify age as well, any age. Here in this slide, you can see 29, but just example, but could be any age. So here you can see, give me party ideas for birthday party for 29-year-old. So 29 is again example. Could be 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, any years you can put, and you get content differentiate based on those factors. So that's where the prompt engineering comes into place. Using prompt engineering, we can specify certain things into certain factors. Then we can ask like answers for the homework assignment questions, things like that. But there's ethical side of things as well, still discussed in the universities and schools, because students try to use ChatGPT and get the answers for their assignments and the questions as well. So because of that, there's ethical side, because during the academics, you have to learn these things. You have to learn the real concepts. You have to practice the real things. But during the professional life, it's not like that. We already passed the academics, then we have to use this in a much more productive way. So in the professional life, what we are looking at is the productivity, how we can improve the productivity and efficiency in our work. It could be any works, not only IT. It could be any work. So using these AI tools, we can increase that productivity by multiple percentage. Why? Because traditionally it took a couple of weeks, couple of days. Now, within a day or within a couple of minutes, you will get the answer. In the professional world, we need that. We need the productivity, the best possible work in a short amount of time, right? So ChatGPT will be a really good assistant on that. But for academic side, there's ethical side still. My recommendation for the academics is to use this as a supporting tool. So like, for example, let's say a student can work on their assignment and then they can also check the answer. Assignment comes from ChatGPT. So they can compare and see what kind of mistakes that you did. So that's a better way to use the technology other than using it directly from like that. Okay. Then what is IPv is for header, explain tabular format. So this one is actually, you can see how we can use ChatGPT in a much more effective way. And also for assignments, you can specify the format you need in assignments. And based on that, you can ask the question. Then this is on more creative side. So now we are coming into different industries. ChatGPT write music. You can ask ChatGPT to create music, compose music, musical notes, write music. Let's say even a professional music composer will take a couple of days to create a new song, right? But ChatGPT can do that in couple of minutes, couple of seconds, right? That's the advantage. So let me show an example. So in ChatGPT, so here you can go to the ChatGPT. So I think everyone is familiar with the website. Let me share that in the here chat as well. If you are not using ChatGPT by now, you can create a free account from this chat.openai.com. You can create a free account. And there's GPT-4, that's the paid version. You can use the free version or the paid version as well here. Then you can ask a specified question from ChatGPT as well. So here I tried a couple of minutes ago, this one. Here you can ask. So here I asked to write a song about Philippines. So you can see it's generated the song like this with chorus verse 1, verse 2, like that. And you can have multiple regeneration of the song as well. So you can ask to generate the song in a multiple format. So here you can see you can ask to then I click regenerate. You can see a couple of seconds you will get to regenerate the song, right? You can see all the landmarks and popular places in Philippines added into the context of the song, and it's a unique one. It's different, and you can check with copywriting tools whether it's copyrighted from somewhere else. So that's where ChatGPT tool impacting a lot of creative industries. Let's say you are really experienced senior music composer, even you are that kind of a person that have years of experience, but you cannot come up with this song within couple of seconds, right? Even time of writing, it will take a couple of minutes if you just come up with the song, but traditionally it take couple of days. So here you can see within couple of seconds, I'm now creating 3 different variations that different from one another. 3 different songs about Philippines. So likewise, it's again a keyword, like I mentioned, we can have trillions of keyword. Keyword is a knowledge point, and then it's user language capability, right? So then you can use the language capability to create a song as that. So I can share ChatGPT. There's a cheat sheet document. There's a question regarding ChatGPT prompts to share. So I will share some of the common and useful ChatGPT, including some of the things that I shared and some other things because we have limited time today. So I will share a document in the Meetup page. So we'll be sharing Meetup recording as well. So you can go through these things another time and a couple of times as well. At the same time, I'll be sharing a cheat sheet document, like a PDF document, including some of these common kind of prompt that we can use. Right, so you can see like that, we can generate for a certain thing. So write a song. Then if you specify write a poem, it will be different, right? So you can write a novel, like that. So based on the different typing writing, you can see you need different person. So if you are writing a book, it's a different skill set. you are writing a song, different skill set. If you are writing a project proposal, it's a different skill set. If you are writing a marketing proposal, then if you are writing a script, let's say you are creating a YouTube video, or you are creating a movie, or like a small movie or documentary, then you need to write a script, video script about that. So then it's a different kind of a skill. But ChatGPT can leverage all these different skill much more effective. That's why it's really advanced, and it can impacting a lot of creative industries as well. So those who are know these tools can leverage the benefit. That's why when the technology advance, we need to adapt the technology changes, right? Like before Google, you can think of the time that before Google and with the Google. So if everyone like say like, of course, we are not going to use Google, and I'm going to just go to library or find a website. So like it used to be, then it's not like that. So those people left behind because everyone then move into Google and find a much more advanced way to get the information. But now we are in the AI space where this can bypass the Google search, and you can see we can get a lot of useful content and generative content from the AI tools, right? So if you are not using these tools effectively, then it's again a kind of things that you need to upgrade yourself with the technology changes. So another 5 to 10 years time, there'll be more technologies like that. Then again, we need to adapt, right? So that's how the technology and the whole sector is evolved. And you can see it's benefits out of it, right? It's not going to like do any like copy. This is not a copied song from anywhere else. You can because you can also type in your ChatGPT account, and you can see it's not even copied. So my answer is different from your answer, right? And so you can test with the 10 different people answers, and it's different from 10 different variation, right? So that's what ChatGPT is good at. If you search in Google, everyone is getting the same answer. But here you'll get completely unique, and you can see I can click regenerate unlimited number of times. So now I have 4 different songs about Philippines, right? And you can compare and see it's different variation from one another. It's just example, but it's applied for all the things I mentioned, and I'm going to mention in ChatGPT. That's what these tools differentiate from Google search or other traditional tools that we are used to know. So here you can see we can ask question like how to write music. Then it's going to create musical notes as well. And now we have other kind of tools coming up with the advancement and the innovation that we see in the ChatGPT. Like companies like Microsoft invested $10 billion in ChatGPT, and other companies also trying to invest because of that. ChatGPT or the OpenAI is the company becoming a $1 billion company. So because of that, now you can see a lot of startup companies trying to do with a lot of different areas. So now we have tools to generate images. Now we have tools to generate voice, videos, PowerPoint presentations, and we have tools to automate our tasks. We don't need to manually do everything one by one. So there are things to automate our tasks. Then there are AI tools like, let's say we are doing this meeting, like, per day, you might have a lot of Zoom or Teams meeting. Then sometimes, let's say you have certain decision-making meeting, but sometimes you forget what kind of key points that took in the meeting. Then that AI tools helps you to summarize the things we discussed in the meeting and send you a notifications or action items based on that. So now we have a lot of these kind of tools that helps you. And most of the tools are free of charge. Free version, we can use a lot of capability. But if you want to upgrade, it's just $10, $20, like very small amount. It's not like going to charge you thousands of dollars to do that. It's just $10 to $20, most of these tools. But with the free version also, we can do a lot of day-to-day tasks, because ultimately what we need to do is we need to increase our productivity. We need to be efficient in our work. It could be IT, finance, business, medicine, any sector. Efficiency, productivity is the key. These AI tools helps you with that. You can clearly see with the results we get from ChatGPT. Then ChatGPT for translation. Again, we can see we can use Google Translation for translation as well. But what ChatGPT differentiate is, you can see, for example, in this one, how do you say, where is the bus stop in Spanish? So here, not only you get the translation, you again get some explanation as well. That's one of the best thing. In Google Translate, you will get a translation. of course, but you don't get the explanation because ChatGPT, for later also I will show in the next slides, can explain things, right? Because any answer you get from ChatGPT, you can ask how you come up with that answer, right? Any answer you get from ChatGPT, you can ask how you come up with that answer. So most of the like let's say project proposal or specifically coding or some mathematical problem, you can ask how you come up with the answer. Can you explain? Then you not only get the answer, you will also get the explanation how it come up with a certain conclusion, right? So that you can never find in Google. It's like you ask the solution from your friend, and you can also ask the friend how you come up with that. Can you explain me? So the two things can possible with ChatGPT for anything. So that's where again ChatGPT become more powerful. It's not only the translation. You can also ask how you come up with this, right? Then it will going to explain how it did. So it could be mathematic problem or project proposal, anything that we discuss or we are going to discuss. So most of the things you can ask a question like how you solve this, how you come up with this. Yeah. So copyright. You can how can ChatGPT human like in its response? Yeah, so the main thing is it use this large language capability. I mentioned that LLM, right? LLM. You can search more about this uh, LLM called large language model. So it is capable of this language works. It's like a professional is doing. Let's say, for example, the previous one, like the music composer. What is their process of coming up with the, let's say, we ask a music composer to write a song about Philippines. So what is the process? So the music composer going to go through his process, like understanding the key terms and looking at the ways to represent and looking at the keywords and using his or her language capability to explain or create that song. So that is what ChatGPT do, because ChatGPT is AI model. So it have trained on the language, most case English language. So it's trained on this English language plus the knowledge. So it can do the work like a real person, like music composer or programmer or developer or project manager, like that, because it have this language capability and is already trained on that. Is used to do that. So that's why. And another advantage is ChatGPT can advance, right? Now we are using 3.5. So you can see we are using 3.5 here. So we are not using 1.0. If it is 1.0, sometimes these answers are not relevant. These answers might be wrong. But AI tools, another advantage is more you use it, better it gets, right? More you use it, better it gets. That's another advantage in any AI tool. So if you use the same thing in ChatGPT 1.0, you might not always get the right answer. But you provide feedbacks. So you can see here, sometimes you get to ask the feedbacks, like this is correct answer or wrong answer, like that. Then you'll get the feedbacks from the user, real user. Then based on that, it's going to learn and it's going to improve itself. So now the latest version is the 4. You can go with ChatGPT 4 in the paid version, where it is a trillion times better. So each version is becoming more better version of the ChatGPT. So that is what is that. So related to copyright, you can also try with copywriting tools like so songs. We have song copyright checkers to check whether this is copied from anywhere or this is impacting copyright, like that. So then you can compare and see whether it's really impacting like that. So it's not going to lose that. Yeah. So you can write book related content. So now you can go to Amazon and Amazon books and search ChatGPT based the generative AI based books that is created, because it's going to create a unique thing. So that's possible because ChatGPT tool or generative AI tool doesn't put any lock on using the content it's created, right? It's only asks you to pay. You can see the paid version as well, upgrade to premium. It's just $20 a month, but it doesn't give any restrictions on using its content, right? So let's say we get a project proposal. We can use the content that generated. Let's say we use for coding. So similar to ebooks as well. And you can also check If you want to double check, you just copy it from somewhere. It's anyway not copied. So you can use it. Not going to charge you for loyalties or like that. It's only like, even if you go for paid version, it's just $20 per month. It's really feasible amount. But even for free version, it doesn't you ask to put copyright or anything, because it's going to generate AI. Because another advantage is generate AI is not someone else's work. It's generate on the fly, on the go for you. And anyone else try the same thing, generated for that user, right? So that's, it can generate this trillion times, right? That's advantage. You can see the same thing. So here I get 5 different answers. That's called generative AI. It's not copy. Even this answer, someone else tried, they don't get, because here you can see I get 5 different answers that different from one another. So that is where you cannot beat the copyright. So still you can use this generative content. There's no issue. There's no legal problem with using that. So translation, I explained that. Then this is for data analysts, BI engineers, extract data from text. So if you want to extract certain data from text, like traditionally data engineers, business intelligence, developers, business analysts may have to work on these specific areas. Here you can see, you can give a certain data set, like a paragraph in this one. You can give a paragraph and you can ask extract data classes in the JSON format. Then you will get the data classes from JSON format. So this is useful for data analyst. If you want to capture or extract certain data from paragraph or certain kind of a log file, certain documentation, and you to extract into a certain data format, traditionally they have to use their own experience to do this. But now you can ask ChatGPT and improve the efficiency. Because here the skill set matters, right? You know, you need to know about data classes, you need to know about the certain parameters, JSON. So you need to have the basic foundational skill. Then you ask the question. So here what we are using is increasing the productivity, right? So we are asking that specific thing and we are using that to increase the productivity. So the traditionally, let's say this task took 3 hours, but now it's just 1 minute, right? So let's say traditionally based on the experience, let's say experience business analysts might take 1 to 2 hours. But if you just use ChatGPT, you can see it takes a couple of seconds. That's the main differentiation. So increase the efficiency or the productivity of your work. Great essay. This is for academic side. Again, there's ethical question to ask here as well, where like students, they can use ChatGPT to create the assignment, like lecturers or teachers can use that ChatGPT to get the grading as well. So grading is a common thing they need to do, like for each exams, like school exams or university exams like that. They have to grade students' works. So let's say they have 100 students each batch, then it's a lot of manual work to grade each student of their work. But here you can use ChatGPT, and again we can ask some ethical side, because this academic area. In the academic side, there could be a little bit ethical kind of things that we can put in place, because in professional side it's not like that, because we are using to increase the productivity. But ethical side, there's a learning part involved in the students, mostly students, younger students, academic or undergraduate level. So that's where, but ChatGPT can provide this great essays as well. Then it can solve math question. We can ask mathematical problems from ChatGPT, and it can solve the question. So here, another advantage is not just a simple math. It's going into calculus, pure mathematics, trigonometry task, and you can get the answer. So you can do that. You need to ask specific. ChatGPT is not going to provide you what's the stock, but you can specify the question. The current, you can provide the current data set, like this is the stock of Apple for today. You can give a technical, ask to give a technical and be like you can provide that. You need to give the input data set, right? You cannot just ask what is the Apple stock going to be in the next hour or like that. It's not like that, but you can enter the past data. Let's say I want to do this today, then you can enter the last 7 days of the data. Then you can go for ask the specific technical question on the technical analysis and ask to provide the suggestions or the answers on that. That is possible. But doesn't give, if you directly ask what is the stock going to be in the next hour, it's not going to answer that because there's a lot of again ethical side involved in that. But you can ask really technical side of things where you can enter the data of the past couple of days or hours of a certain stock, and then you can ask a certain technical analysis algorithm or certain technical terminologies or technical method that you are using. Let's say you are using method A, you can ask to predict the certain stock on method A. Then it's going to do that because you are already providing the input data. It applies for agreements as well. Let's say you have a agreement, let's say agreement for lawyer agreement. You know, this lawyer agreement are really tricky. There are a lot of technical terms, especially in law involved. Then you can enter this lawyer agreement as a PDF or text format, and you can ask to explain in the simple format. So traditionally, if you consult a lawyer, it can like you have to spend money to simplify the agreement. But you can just input that agreement into ChatGPT and ask to explain in 5 lines or like kind of 5. Then you get the simplified way of that explanation of the law or the agreement. Is there need to edit or review the words the result ChatGPT give? Yeah, that's where the your professional works comes in. You can do a little bit of proofreading on the answer, right? Because it's not like it's not going to at the moment. It's not going to gives you wrong answer because now the ChatGPT is really improved in that. But in terms of matching it, your expectation, you can do a quick proofread. So that's the kind of like, it's not like just copy paste, right? So let's say you ask project proposal or specify, you can double check. That is where your industry skill set comes in. But the time would take to research, time it take to create that, time it take to get the answer is really lesson, right? Let's say it's take 5 days, now 1 day. But we can still do a small proofread and match with your expectation, right? And you can further answer. So that is the best way to get out of it, not just copy and paste. And again, from that, you also learn and you also improve, right? Because if you just depend 100% on the tool, then you are not going to also improve, right? Because at the moment, you might find it productive, but ultimately, you are not going to also improve your career or your progression as well. So my recommendation is get the answer, but do a small proofread and double check on that. Not the correctivity of the answer, but the expected result with the correct format or correct kind of a result that you expect. And you can also ask more questions on that as well, like that. So then you will get to learn about that as well. Because if you just copy and paste and give that to the next party or your client or whatever, then you might get the expected result, but you need to also a little bit learn from that experience, from the answer that ChatGPT give. You need to also improve yourself. So it's better you can do a small proofread and see. But you don't need to fact check or copyright check or answer check on that. Now it's really the current versions are really improved on that. Only a small percentage you will get wrong answers. Most of the time, answers you get is correct, but you can do a proofread to mostly check the expectations. With this match my client expectation, things like that. And also it's going to improve yourself as well. You can read the answer and see what kind of things I could do this to improve myself, like that. So that could be kind of a learning side for you as well. So these are really good things because anyway, it saves your time, right? So reading the answer and little bit improving it, that with adding a 1 sentence, 2 sentence will helps for you as well to learn what ChatGPT can provide you, and you can learn also from that as well, right? Right. Yeah, sure, Trisha. Now we are in the final part of the presentation. Another 5 minutes we can wrap up. In this, I will highlight the math question. So math question, you can ask a question like this, So again, specify for any technical advanced mathematic problems. But here the best thing is show your work. Show your work as I mentioned, you can see it's going to explain how it's come up with the answer. It's going to explain how it's come up with the answer. So that's one of the best things. So you get to learn, not only get the answer, right? Because if you just get the answer, you are not going to learn. But of course, you'll get the answer. But ChatGPT is a tool that helps you in a both way. You'll get the answer as well as you'll get the explanation of your answer. So you have to be intelligent enough to use the best possible way. So increase the productivity at the same time, learn the new things because you need to improve yourself as well. Even as a professional, you have to improve yourself as well. So you can use the answer as well as you can learn how it's come up with the answer. That's where this comes in, show your work. And this apply for most of the things, not only mathematics, like project proposal, programming. It's going to explain the things as well. So it's not only going to improve the productivity, you can to learn new things as well. Right. So likewise, you can also create kind of unique kind of solutions, projects on top of that as well. This is one solution we are working on. And also we have some training programs also related to AI technicals and user side of things, how you can automate in your business, how you can improve the efficiency and improve the productivity. So we have training programs and we are working on some clients projects as well to increase the productivity on that front, as well as the technical side of things, because in AI, there are two sides of things. Traditionally, it's only one side. The technical side where you have to know Python, you have to know about machine learning, deep learning, and all the technical things. You have to be data scientists, Python engineers to work on these things. But now we have business side of things where you can be an AI tool user to increase the performance, increase the productivity, increase, like I mentioned, a couple of use cases. You can use AI tools to generate images, generate audio, automate email, automate responses like that. So that's the business side of things. So now AI have these two side of things for you to improve yourself to get best out of things. If you have more questions and more suggestions on that, you can reach out to us as well. I will again share our contact details. And meantime, if you have questions at the moment, you can ask. You can spend in this couple of minutes in this session, and we'll be sharing this session recording as well. So you can reach out to us. I will also share my LinkedIn profile, so you can also reach out to me as well. Right. If you have more questions, you can ask me at the moment. Right. So if you have any questions, you can ask me any questions related to ChatGPT or AI tools. So we are planning to bring more sessions like this in coming months. And if you have more suggestions, you can also inform us about these suggestions as well. We are happy to look at these suggestions to bring you best out of this. And we also share. Yeah, this is my LinkedIn profile. You can reach out to me as well, right? We are planning to bring more sessions like this in the coming months. So stay tuned to our Meetup page and Meetup channel. So I think everyone connected to the Meetup channel. So I'll share the email as well. So thank you all for joining the today's session. Looking forward to seeing you again in another session like this. We are planning to bring more AI tools and capabilities in upcoming sessions. You can reach out to us as well, right? So thank you all for joining today's session, and have a good day and have a nice weekend as well. Thank you.